Good day, and welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist, another light in this darkened world. I'm your host, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. My co-hosts are David Dublik, Heather Day, Joan Renee, Skip Press, Chris Montgomery, Terry Bradley, Katie Bradley, Tom Outhouse, Jessica Garza, Howard Lamson, Dr. Keith Pablo, and TJ Ward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist, begins now. And welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd. Where is Brian Singh? Okay, we have to do the reshuffle here. Let's put her in the middle. All right, that's good. And I am joined by Brian Singh, Terry Bradley, Brooks Agnew, Joan Renee, and Steven Sanchez. And this segment is Brian Singh Presents Dr. U. Dr. U is on assignment today. He will return in 2 weeks. We're going to be discussing things like teleportation. We're going to be discussing, is time travel real? And a little bit about CERN. I've got a couple of real short videos that I'm going to bring in, and a newsreel about one of the missing scientists that his name is, let me see what his name, Anthony Chavez. He was 78. He disappeared from his home in Los Alamos, New Mexico on May 4th, leaving behind his newly purchased car, keys, wallet, identification, and cigarettes. More than a year later, investigators still have no answers. However, this was the interesting part. A police report obtained by journalist Lauren Conlin has revealed that a friend told investigators Chavez had been collaborating with an unnamed Los Alamos scientist on a teleportation project involving the concept of being in two places at once. So we'll be discussing that in just a moment. We're going to begin Dr. U's universe.
Woo, ooh, it's Dr. U. Woo, ooh, it's Dr. U. Woo, ooh, it's Dr. U. Dr. U's universe. Yeah. Stars inside. We welcome you to Dr. U's universe. Where planets sing and comets dance. shout, what? Ooh, ooh, it's Dr. You. Ooh, it's Dr. You. Yeah. Ooh, ooh, it's Dr. You. Dr. U's universe. Yeah, yeah. Nothing is what you thought you'd find. Get ready to adjust your mind. Forget all that you have read. Get maximum room, make space in your head. Welcome to Dr. Universe, where time does not exist. Listen to Dr. You. He's phoning in from Earth number 2. Yeah, he's calling from the cosmos just for you. It's Dr. You. It's Dr. You. It's Dr. You. Dr. U's universe. Dr. U's universe.
And we are back. Hopefully you didn't hear me singing in the background. And so this is going to be a very interesting, because we have some of the most brilliant minds in this room right now. And they're going to be sharing some of their information regarding teleportation. I just found it very interesting because there's a series of leading scientists whose disappearances have fueled speculation because they were associated with cutting edge and classified government research. So I found this was extremely important. So I have a one video, which is the news report on this. Skywatch Signal said the Los Alamos mystery deepens with new information. Okay. And you can time travel while you're on the show. So make sure that you don't get sucked into your phone. New potential evidence has reportedly been recovered from the area where former Los Alamos employee Melissa Casillas was found, including bones, hair, clothing, and torn papers that family members believe may contain her handwriting. Now, attention is also turning to retired Los Alamos technician Anthony Chavez, who vanished a month before Casillas. A police report reportedly states that a friend claimed Chavez had been working with an unnamed scientist on quantum physics research involving being in two places at once. Two disappearances connected to one of America's most secretive laboratories, and still far more questions than answers. Here's that news report.
A man who used to work at Los Alamos National Laboratory, you know, where the atomic bomb was first developed, has gone missing. And what makes that even more concerning is that Los Alamos appears to be the same lab where another missing person, 53-year-old administrative assistant Melissa Casillas, also worked. Now, Casillas went missing in June of 2025, and almost a year later, her body was found in a New Mexico forest next to a handgun, though authorities still don't have a cause of death. They haven't released it. And now there's been a big update in this case, which we're going to get to in a minute. But about 1 month before Casillas vanished, 78-year-old Anthony Chavez, who was a retired HVAC technician at the Los Alamos lab, was also reported missing. And when police went to investigate, they found no signs of Chavez. They found no signs of foul play. And what's more, according to Los Angeles Magazine, hidden deep within the police report about his disappearance is a claim from one of Chavez's friends that the missing tech was working on quantum physics with an unnamed scientist from Los Alamos. Now, Chavez's case made headlines in part because of the possible connection to Casillas, and now there's new information about her case thanks to a law firm that was hired by her family to investigate. In fact, according to local affiliate KOB4, the family's attorney says that several additional items of potential evidence were found at the site where her body was discovered. Is it going to help to solve the mystery of her disappearance? And if that mystery is solved, could it shed some light on what happened to Chavez? Well, joining me now to help answer those questions is Los Angeles Magazine's Lauren Conlin, who's been on this story from the very start. Always good to see you. What'd they find at the site? And I guess the other question is, how was it not discovered before?
That is the question. And I spoke to a family member of Melissa Casillas, and they let me know that they had hired a private search and rescue team to survey the area where Melissa was found after police said they had opened the scene back up, that, you know, it was no longer a crime scene. They wanted to do their diligence. And what they found was pretty crazy, Jesse. I mean, they found bones, and they had canines there, cadaver canines that were barking at these bones as if they were human. Now, we obviously don't know that yet. There was an orange peel. There were several torn up pieces of paper, and it's believed by some of of Melissa's family members that Melissa's handwriting is on.
And we don't know what those papers are.
We don't know. We don't know. So yeah, it's concerning. It's clothing as well.
Right, clothing and hair. Do you know where it's being sent or what they're doing with it?
So I believe, per the Casillas family attorneys, they did give this to law enforcement, and law enforcement is taking this into consideration, specifically the OMI, the medical investigator, to help determine what Melissa Casillas' cause and manner of death is, because we still don't know that. And I would think, yeah, they need all evidence to determine this.
You have some other information about her case?
So I did obtain an older police report that had some information about Melissa's disappearance that I had not come across before. Now, I saw that police were able to get a search warrant from Los Alamos National Lab to obtain Melissa's emails and communications to potentially see, if anything was going on. There's no actual results from that, but something that was odd to me is
surprise.
they said that after they checked cameras, whatever they had to check, Melissa's car wasn't captured on surveillance that day. Although it was said she drove to work, dropped her husband off, and then, left because she forgot her badge.
And then there's surveillance of her walking on that interstate.
Well, that's yes, on a highway, but
they already scrubbed the footage and then said
on camera. They said they've had it every other day for the last X many months. So.
Well, let me speak to this. So, first, to preface this, teleportation, number one, and the ability to open portals would be 1 and 2, if not, reverse. Those are the top two abilities that all the militaries and deep state programs of the world seek out. Those are the top, because being able to get to where you want to go, or have who you want to get to go wherever you want to go, is the most powerful thing. It's great to remote view things or try to affect things from a distance, but there's nothing better than being able to get your people on the ground, apparently. And so, you've got people in our community, the full disclosure movement, such as Jean-Charles Moyen. He's a French super soldier veteran, or secret space programs and super soldier. And he has a lot of testimony about growing up as a child and having these amazing experiences where he could go into the dream state and then literally physically teleport himself and the clothing on him and the backpack, things he's carrying with him, from Earth, wherever he was on, to another planet, literally. Okay. Where then he collected samples of water and crystals in it in a water bottle and brought them back, and had proof for his family, and then also had his father had at least a surviving photograph of one of the crystals. And Arkeem Ra testifies about this at the Montauk Project. The children with the ability to open up the portals were the ones who they strapped into the Montauk trip chair, looked like a high-tech dentist chair underneath in the basement levels of Camp Hero Air Force Base, Montauk Point, Long Island. And they would literally stare at a point on a wall, open up portals that they could then send eventually soldiers or time soldiers through to then affect and mess with our timeline. Then when we look at the scientists, the missing scientists, there's the theme of all of them were related to anti-gravity and exotic, means of transportation, propulsion research. And there's a very, very highly skilled and I believe accurate psychic online. She has a YouTube channel. She's on our friend Robert Khalil's Typical Skeptic podcast all the time. Her name is Psychic Liz Cross. And when she's done mind probes into this, the upshot is that you've got a government program with like 100 scientists, and they're all studying exotic anti-gravity research. And they get to a certain point in the research where they're now advanced to this level of technology. And out of those 100 scientists, you only really need 30 of them. And then the other 70 are automatically liabilities at that point. Right. And then of those liabilities, who are going to be the most likely to talk? And those are your top
Right.
liabilities. So when you look at Amy Eskridge, okay, she was back in 2021, I believe it was, going on YouTube, and she was so suppressed. I never heard of her until after she
Right.
was
Me neither.
taken out. And we're going to go into that, the methodology of probably how she was taken out per psychic Liz Cross's reading, and then given all the facts and evidence so far and other things, what she says lines up. Okay, so Amy Eskridge is going online talking about all this stuff, talking about ETs, the P47,000s and P52,000 grays. That it's a psyop. They're probably, hopefully, not us. Or if they're not us, then they're in another messed up timeline. We don't want to end up looking like that. I don't care if it's 47,000 years from now. F that. No. So, I don't want to look like Barbara Walters after 50 facelifts.
Right.
So they were hitting her with directed energy weapons, it looks like. So Amy Eskridge was talking about how she's got like a window and then her computer and her keyboard and her hands and right in her face, and right along the line of like the window is like she would get like these like intense radiation burns. And people in her community, such as Penny Bradley, they report this. Like Penny reports getting hit by this stuff like 20 years ago. And as proof, she went to a physician and got, I don't know if it's a CT or MRI scan, but she has, the doctor's like, wow, I've never seen that. You've got evidence of internal burning. What could burn you from the inside out? Microwaves could do that.
Microwaves.
Hey, Brooks is right on top of that. And so the theory that, or at least what psychic Liz Cross saw in her mind probe of Amy Eskridge, is that, and this will then line up with a lot of these other victims like General McCaslin and perhaps this hiker person, Casillas, was at this point, Amy Eskridge was getting direct warnings that she needed to shut up or else, and she was being threatened, like the threatening phone calls letting her know, cut it out. And she probably was being hounded and followed by these people, and she tried to get away, like to a remote campsite area, like that's or somewhere in the wilderness. That's where they found her, I believe. And they said it was like a suicide. And what Liz Cross saw is that she was like under a tree, and she was trying to like hide out, and she was being pursued by people, and she had a gun. And it was like the situation was like she could either take herself out under that tree, or she could let these other people take her out, and it wouldn't be pleasant. And they were basically hounding her to the point where they were letting her know. And that would also line up with, say, General McCaslin. He like took his gun but left everything else and ran into the woods and disappeared. Okay. And there, is a theory floating out there that, let's take Bernie Sanders, for example, 2014 into 2016 lead up, he could have been the Democrats' contender and been president of the United States. But instead, they stole it from him and gave it to Hillary. And a lot of people are saying, well, why didn't Bernie really fight that? Why didn't, he challenged Hillary for the Democratic nomination. And a lot of people say the reason why is because they showed him the tape. And the tape is something where the other side, they do all sorts of nasty stuff, as we know, the Epstein files and Hunter Biden's laptop and Hillary's server, and even Trump's supposed to be in there. And, and not in good ways. And so I'll say that as critically. The tape that they showed Bernie is one where they're doing horrible, unspeakable things to victims. And it's a montage of that. And then they tell him if you don't step aside, we're going to do the same to you and your family. And apparently they also beat the crap out of him. And there was pictures around that time of Bernie looking really bruised and beat up and timid. And he's an old guy, so beating up an old guy and showing him that video, I mean, that would destabilize any of us. And so he sold out at that point for sure. Not that he wasn't already a champagne socialist, but fashionable, but that was when he really sold out to the other side.
Yeah.
And so with this technology, the government, the number one thing that they keep secret is the secret space programs. Cosmos level clearance, which deals with secret space programs, is apparently probably like that. There's that number 33 or 32, 33, 34 levels above clearance of what the president has, which is probably 32 levels of clearance. Okay, this is another 30 something levels above presidential level, which tells you the president doesn't know crap. Nope. and we already know this from the
need to know.
Yeah, it's need to know, and even then they don't consider a president need to know. They consider that a liability.
Tim Burchett said that.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, there's so many people in our community who have come out to reveal all of this. But we see apportation, because teleportation, a lot of people in the paranormal research environments are going to be familiar with the phenomenon known as apportation. And apportation is when things and objects will teleport in some kind of range or space, like in front of you or in front of the cameras. Oftentimes in spiritual or religious settings, some churches have reported gold coins or gold being teleported falling from church ceilings, or people in old mansions having buttons or spoons teleporting in. Yeah, or sometimes their own things that they lose will teleport in front of them a day or so later. Okay, and so this really goes to show you the malleable nature of our physical reality, which everyone watching this, I'm sure, is already well aware. The quantum effects, the Mandela things, the Mandela effects, which are very real. And then you've got other phenomenon what was it? With CERN. Okay. I wanted to use this, take this opportunity to point out that around CERN, there's a lot of guesswork, that we're all doing. Was an alleged time travel out there named John Titor, saying all sorts of crazy things about CERN. And all that stuff needs to be taken with a huge grain of salt. Joseph Titor is the fictional creation of author Joseph Matheny, and he's already been outed.
Hollywood.
Yeah, and he was in Hollywood, and he was part of that circle of people hanging with Johnny Depp and River Phoenix at the Viper Room because he was a dealer there. That's how he was an author and a drug dealer. So come at me with discovery, Joseph.
I did a video on that, and I didn't play the end part of that video. I did a beginning of it on the Y-Files. The end part of it explains that he was a construct, a Hollywood construct. I do have a couple of short videos. Here's one for teleportation. This is under a minute.
What if I told you someone traveled 9,000 miles across an ocean in a single blink? On October 24th, 1593, a confused soldier suddenly appeared in Mexico City's main plaza, asking, "Where am I?" He wore the uniform of the Guards of Manila, a city 9,000 miles away across the Pacific Ocean. How did he get there instantly? He claimed he'd just been in Manila, where the governor was assassinated moments ago. Mexican authorities thought him completely mad, locking him away in a dark cell. But 2 months later, a ship arrived from the Philippines. Its captain confirmed the governor was indeed killed that very day, on October 23rd, just as the soldier had said. Was it teleportation or something stranger? Subscribe.
So we don't know. Now here's another one. This says teleportation caught during a live broadcast of TV Destino. Human teleportation is an amazing prospect, but will teleportation as seen in Star Trek ever be a real possibility? It's always risky to say no, never. And here's that they played it a couple of times in this.
Ellos hagan ese trabajo. Toda persona que es trabajador electoral tiene un punto de vista político. Por eso es muy importante durante el entrenamiento y cuando firman el juramento que ellos están confirmando que no van a ser...
Now they're going to show you again. Here we go. What was that? Is that a glitch? Did somebody edit this? What is that? What the hell is that? All right, so we're seeing it a couple of times. So my question regarding the missing scientists, let me turn the sound down. My question is, did these people working on teleportation devices, did they actually teleport? Are they not here anymore because they use teleportation? They're on another planet or in another dimension?
I got to put this out there, Penny. That is, at one point in time, that was a hopium version that I and so many others wanted to believe. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, our people are getting teleported off, and their dead clone bodies are being left behind, and but the reality is that we're not here to be rescued, and we didn't come here to be rescued. We came here to do our own rescuing, and those around us, and humanity, and nature, and the planet all together. And that doesn't happen by trusting any plan or sitting on our butts. It happens by us identifying the common good and the common evil, and then working together towards the common good in a unified, principled manner, not just
Yes.
as kumbaya.
My question, though, is this teleportation, the ability for teleportation, is this a vehicle that our government already has? And so my question is not a rescue question. It's involving technology. Is General McCaslin, who is part of some very significant things, I'm just opening the door. Is it a possibility that he has teleported somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a possibility. And I'll answer your question because it's actually a multi-part question. As far as teleportation existing, absolutely. As far as us, quote unquote, humanity having it, certain factions absolutely do. The Montauk Project perpetrators of, the technical names would be like Operation Rainbow Bridge and Operation Rainbow Bridge is one of them. Whoever's typing, if you just mute, they what they were doing was opening up portals, not just to get personnel to different places and planets, okay, but also different timelines. And so, you still got to mute yourself.
Are you typing, Brooks?
Yeah,
but I turned my microphone off, so I don't know how you can.
Yeah, we can still hear it.
Let me see if I can mute you.
And so what they're doing is probably still do, is at least with as far as the time travel projects are concerned, is why mess with, because now this gets us into time travel. Why mess with the timelines by opening up a portal to not just Earth, but a different, like, say, 1940s Earth, okay? Send people back there. Well, I'm going to say actually maybe more earlier 1900s, late 1800s Earth, and then have them find all the maps they can of Tartaria, okay, and destroy them. Find all the diagrams and evidence of how these amazing buildings were really built, okay, supposedly for the World's Fairs BS, and all the documentation that just doesn't seem to exist anywhere, okay, other than like, oh, J.M. Williams Company and Sons, they painted the buildings. That's great, but who built them? Who made all the glass? All that stuff.
Where did all the marble come from?
Exactly. And so one way you could erase things from history is using time travel shenanigans. Okay.
Indeed.
And then that would then cause quantum effects and shift their timeline. And
Yeah,
then
Brooks,
the other side,
I'm sorry,
Well,
Brooks, you know a lot about this. Can you speak on it?
Well, the issue is that in the beginning, what they did with this technology is they were able to see through time. Now, of course, what the global syndicate or the elites did with this is they would position themselves so they could profit off of it. Unfortunately for them, they got greedy, and the positions that they took affected the future. They also learned to go into the past and alter things. But when they did that, they changed the whole timeline again. So it became impossible, and this is widely known across the world. It became impossible to predict the future because it becomes so corrupted by these people using this technology. So they kind of had a moratorium and said, let's not do that anymore so that we can benefit from the future and steer the world where we want it to go without losing our way. But unfortunately, a lot of us, Brian's friends and my friends, we learned how to do it for ourselves. And so we're manipulating time as well, and they can't predict what's going to happen. That's why you see their empire crumbling all over the world.
So can I go back to the some of this teleportation and apportation and get kind of a little bit into the mechanics that we don't talk about? And that is the entire Earth is covered with an electromagnetic structure and referred to very often as ley lines. And it seems to me, in order for these things to be possible, that those ley lines would have to factor in, because that is energy travel. It's natural energy on the Earth, goes from point to point. And the times that I've had the most phenomenon in my house was when we had a house on the top of a cliff. And this would go along with that ley line energy, because if two ley lines come together and it can cause an object to move. You know, the energy coming and clashing together can cause an object to move. And occasionally it did that in that house. I didn't think it was haunted, but I did believe that it was the movement of the ley lines that sometimes caused these things. And then we disturbed it as well, because I was going through a divorce at the same time. So You've got human energy, ley line energy, that kind of created, I think I'm trying to explain something that I can't explain. I was arguing with my then husband. I was in the kitchen. He was in the family room. On the other side of the family room was a bar that connected the living room and the family room. On the bar, and it had a wooden lip all the way around it, so things don't just slide off, was just a little sticky pad of, sticky notes. That went flying up in the air and across the room. And he looked back at me. I'm nowhere near it. And he said, "What did you do that for?" And I'm like, it was on the bar. I mean, what did I do? Just like Samantha the witch? But I think when we do talk about energy, we give off energy. We affect the ley lines. The ley lines carry that energy because we're all connected. We exist because of that flow of energy throughout the entire Earth. And so when we have a disturbance, we create a disturbance in that. But we can also use that for time travel, teleportation, even, I don't know about anti-gravity, but at least elevating things that maybe otherwise would be too heavy. We can use, and I think that's where, we haven't talked about the ley lines, but I think they're significant in all this topic. And what do you think, Brian?
Well, a lot of sacred sites are along ley lines. A lot of hauntings tend to be along ley lines, especially if the house is on a ley line and a water well, or there's running water underneath. And then you mentioned being on a mountaintop, high places. When you do what Yeshua did, it's the transfiguration of the light body, when he lit up all white in front of his disciples, and he was up on the mountainside. Apparently being high up, in high places does have an effect as well. In terms of Camp Hero Air Force Base and the Montauk Project, there are a lot of ley lines that intersect right around Camp Hero and Montauk, that's sacred Indian land that was stolen from the Montauk tribes. And it's also got like these crystal quartz underground formations running underneath Montauk there that supposedly help to stabilize the initial Tesla kind of coil generator technology that they were using in the Montauk project to open up the portals. They needed a place that was like had various energetic properties, but is also very stable. Okay, and so Montauk supposedly meets those criteria.
And
So
I know
that-
that, yeah, and this is just, it's fundamental, but when you're talking about the crystals, obviously when the first radios and stuff that were created required crystals in order to transmit. So you have the ley lines, which is energy, and then you have in the soil transmitters, nature's transmitters buried in the soil. So you have a conglomeration of God's own generator, basically.
Yes. Good. When you look at crystals are like the highest structured form of mineral soil level composition. And so as above, so below, as within, so without. Here, crystals, they're just like rocks. Well, they're on the highest expression of rock that we can have down here. And they can contain energy and actually link us to the non-physical realms by interacting with these physical things. That's why in the Bible, or partly why, whoever it was, whatever being commanded the priests of Aaron in them to wear the ephods, and it's like, you gotta have a ruby here and a diamond here and an emerald there and a citrine here and a jade there. And they were right. And those stones, there's reasons for that because they all have different frequency and vibration, which are, we're starting to incorporate in, crystal healing mats and technology that people are using today. And the Chinese have known, wear jade, that's good for you. And
Right.
the Egyptians wear copper and brass, that's good for you. And silver, what do you know? Antibiotic, positive properties for people. In terms of the energetic grids and ley lines, why is this so important on a much larger perspective? Is that in lore and legend, mythology all over the world, you'll have, especially when you talk about Atlantis and Lemuria, you'll have people talking about these negative beings corrupting the Earth's energetic grid by doing horrible rituals at different energetic points and corrupting sacred sites. And in doing that, they're trying to distort the flow of God's source energy coming down from the higher realms and expressing themselves here by kind of energetically messing us up as much as they can at this level. And then this is where you have a lot of people in our community known as energetic grid workers or light workers who they can apparently see different energies and flows of that, and they can tap in and they can help to kind of undo some of the gunk mud buildups, the black etheric ooze crud that's been gathered around a lot of these sites and portals and stargates, which happen to be along a lot of these ley lines, and clean them up. And then what various ET and nature spirit beings are telling people in our community is they're very much applauding and grateful for the work that humans are doing to clean up the energetic points on land. And they're saying we need to be doing a lot more of it on the water. One, because the water is very sick and polluted right now, just like the land and the air. But two, you got all these humans running around on land doing this great work. You don't have so many humans on yachts and ships and boats and dinghies out on the water doing this work to help to clear a lot of the energies, which then helps to undo the other side's work of putting us all on a lower timeline.
Right.
I want to address two things.
Oh, go ahead.
Two things. One is, well, I want to get a little bit to CERN because apparently it's closing down. Lockheed Martin scientists, I brought this in, so let me just pull it back in again. Lockheed Martin scientists are saying that an anomalous material is manifesting into existence all over the world. Robert Spearing had a sample that was exhibiting levitation stolen from his mailbox. There was an episode, and I don't know if how current this is. It said it dropped yesterday, but it was banned by YouTube due to a complaint from a viewer. And so let me bring that one in. Hold on a sec. And then also someone saying every time they shut down CERN, some weird things happen. So here's this. This is short.
Thing was several months ago, Josh turned me on to, there was an episode of Hal Puthoff's podcast where he had a Lockheed Martin scientist named Richard Van Dorich, correct, Joshua? Okay. And they claimed to have reverse engineered a material that they thought was 200 to 300 years in the future, technology wise. And the way they described the material that they had come into possession of is that Ben Dorich said that just like in the Timmacue story, people were seeing this material materialize all over the world. And it had the same properties as the piece of Russian sample that was stolen from my mailbox. It was very light. It could actually, if subjected to enough heat, actually levitate. So either Lockheed got my lost sample or something just like it, because this stuff is popping up all over the world.
Oh, literally? There's other...
Literally. Yep.
Oh, wow.
According to the Lockheed scientists, yes, these pieces of material are coming into existence for people all over the world.
Okay, so that's creepy.
I have a theory.
Okay.
So this is a time travel thing where you've got this exotic technology that's going to transform the world. And that's why the government's, the derp state, is taking out all these scientists, very likely. And at the point where it's being suppressed, there are probably some beings, most likely positive and well-meaning, in the future, or at least from the future, who have access to this exotic material, and they're teleporting it in to locations all over the world so that various scientists and governments and institutions can now have access to it and reverse engineer it. And by putting it all over the world, that's a principle that the more benevolent forces tend to have, is there's no favoritism. Everyone gets to play with the new toy. No one gets to just have it, hoard it, and weaponize it.
I gave a report this morning about some balls.
Space balls. Brooks?
Space balls?
Yes, Brooks.
I wonder if that's part of that.
I don't think so.
What was your question?
I wanted to know what your thoughts were on this anomalous material showing up. And Stephen, I want to get your thoughts too.
Well, I spent some time working at the LIGOs. That's a laser interferometer gravitational wave observatory. There's one in Hanford, Washington, one in Livingston, Louisiana, and there's one in Italy. I've been to all of them. These instruments are so sensitive. They're basically the most elaborate interferometer you've ever seen. Vacuum tubes, 4-kilometer long laser lines bouncing off sapphire mirrors, very sophisticated. These instruments are so sensitive that they are actually picking up particles popping into our dimension from another dimension. It happens at all the facilities. If particles can do that, then more complex compounds can do it. And if compounds can do it, then objects can do it. We're not sure where they're coming from, but the fact that they're coming into our dimension is actual, factual, reliable, repeatable data. It's no longer myth.
Do you think that our government knows something, like there's some kind of impending date where we're going to be seeing, more of this? And I'm going to ask Stephen too.
I will say they thought they did, but as I said, the timelines have become so confused after 2012 or so. The ability to predict when and where was lost. And it's going to be some time if it ever does come back. I think everything's up in the air right now. And as I said, there are millions of people that know how to do what we do, and they're doing it all the time. They're manipulating the future with their own consciousness. And that is making it impossible for the deep state to plan and retrieve the world that they lost in 1776.
Stephen?
Well, I got like two little things I want to add to that. So the stuff on the ley lines and stuff like that, highly recommend get the book by Bruce Cathy, The Bridge to Infinity, and see his research that he did way back when all we had was DOS computers, because he literally sat down. He was a pilot by trade, I think, prior to all this stuff. And he was a nuclear physicist, and he got himself in a lot of trouble revealing stuff. But at any rate, because nuclear exchanges are geometric devices, and he explains it very much in detail. And I think the powers that be got very upset that he let that out of the bag. But his favorite thing was that, I think he was from New Zealand. He was tracing the UFO phenomenon in his area because he's a pilot, right? So, he knows how to read maps and stuff. So he would map out all of these places where he saw these incidents happening. So he started mapping them out. Mind you, this is the beginning of just DOS computing. So he started mapping and calculating, and he found that these craft located on these lines of force. And he literally, with a DOS computer and via slide rule and stuff, gridded out the whole planet, this electromagnetic grid. And lo and behold, every UFO ever reported followed these ley lines. So they were using geoelectromagnetic mapping, which makes sense, because his idea was, well, we have a planet and it's got a magnetic grid. It would be the most elegant way of navigation, because all planets have those magnetic structures. So therefore, you got a universal magnetic guidance system that works anywhere. So it's a very beautiful book called Bridge to Infinity. That being said, in my tradition on my grandmother's side, we do kind of thing called weather making, or what you would call rain making. And it's not no miracle that it doesn't work. Think about it. Your body is how much water? A large amount. And what do? See, I can move my fingers. Where do you think the rain dance came from? We're moving water by intention. So by extension, if you get more than one person, you're setting up a coherency field between you and another person. And, it's that 100th monkey thing going on. Next thing you know it, you're moving the little atmosphere around you and the water molecules therewith. About 2 weeks ago, I did a rain dance ceremony at Posse Grounds, and within 3 days it rained. Yesterday, or day before yesterday, I did one, and within hours the clouds were on the sky, and it rained that day within hours. And I tell these people, you need to understand, we can actually do this. It's not rocket science. But you know what the funny part is? There was so much moisture in the clouds, all of a sudden it disappeared. Welcome to our little heart people, realizing and intending we don't want it to rain here. So
right.
It was very, for the first time me doing all this stuff, as long as I've been doing it, it's the first time I actually got the vibration or the knowing awareness that they cut it off. They don't want to bring the rain here. So there's a little bit bigger agenda on this fire than just a fire. They're doing something. It was
I have
really
to laugh because you say it's not rocket scientist, and you're actually a rocket scientist. So.
Yeah. But
and Stephen, these are the fires in the Sedona, Arizona area.
Yes.
They're still going.
They're 56, 57% contained. And it's funny because ever since we did this ceremony, you see all the clouds converging kind of in the east. I mean, big thunderheads. They don't go any further. They just stop. So what I want to do is, and I don't have that wherewithal, but I probably could figure it out, is look on some weather maps and stuff with some radar stuff, and to check what's been going on in real time for the last 3 or 4 days, and see if there's some weird, interesting, anomalous effects that you can see above this area. Because it was so obvious. It was weird. After I did that ceremony, I'm driving out from behind the high school there where the river access is down there, and you could see the rain just about coming into Sedona. And then when the hours, it actually rained a little bit, but those clouds were short-lived. It freaked everybody out in the crowd that was there. They said, "Wow, we really did this." I go, "Yeah, you can do it. It's real. It's not fake." But
Well, you got some YouTube channels out there and commentators like Dutch Sense, Mr.
Yes.
BBB, and Marcia Colvan.
Oh,
And
yeah.
every now and then they'll show like the satellite and radar scans. And you'll see like these concentric circles or like these like wave interference patterns like in the sky
Yep.
and in the weather in the days and often during leading up to these terrible anomalous weather events.
Yep. But that being said, all that proves that, there's an energetic phenomenon that can be induced either by our intention, because look at our brain, right? Left hemisphere, it's an interferometer. I mean, most people don't understand that. You got two eyes, you got two ears. I mean, we are scalar instruments as such, right and left hands. I mean, we just adjust the waveguide antenna. That's all it is. And do it in unison with multiple people, you have those effects. But this all falls in lockstep to that. I mean, even in the shamanic principles of making a doppelganger or a counter self and go do your work spiritually that way. It's all there, and it is in the technology.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can I answer a question here from our
Yes.
audience? Atlas BE is asking, is there a menacing HQ operating as weather warfare? Right? Pay no attention to the man behind the curtains.
Right.
Well, we have Eric Hecker. He's a member of the community, and he's testified to basically being a glorified plumber technician at the neutrino detector cube.
Yeah, the ice cube in Antarctica.
Right. And he's said that actually that is anything but just a detector. It's so powerful, it's actually can be a weapon. And then that, along with like HARP and the SBX and NEXRAD type technologies, can trigger all sorts of weather mayhem, whether it's flooding or earthquakes and droughts.
I can add a little detail to that. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so in terms of who is coordinating all of this, there is a global cabal deep state, the cult of Baal, the bloodline families, going through organizations and secret societies or semi-secret, like the Knights of Malta, infiltrating the highest levels of militaries all over the world. And then they've got some kind of like Illuminati type governance structure where they can coordinate using their nasty toys on the rest of us. So that's in my understanding of the menacing HQ. It would be like bloodline family heads overseeing 3-letter agencies internationally to do their dirty work.
Yep.
Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I've known Eric a long time, and he's a plumber, but I'm a nuclear chemist. So we got together one night and had dinner in Concord, and we figured this out. IceCube is the first 3D antenna set up. There are a lot of square wave antennas set up that operates the normal HARP, but IceCube is different. They drilled holes in the Arctic ice, and then they dropped like a string of pearls down in the hole. These are individual antenna components on a string of wire, dropped down into the hole. Then they refill the hole with water and let it freeze. The reason they did this is because when neutrinos come through, they usually go through Earth without hitting anything. But a strange phenomenon occurs in Arctic ice. The ice will actually fluoresce a little bit when the neutrinos come through. These antennas pick up that fluorescence. And there are 64 of these, 64 holes, 8 by 8, and they're spread out over a good distance. And we always thought this was a receiver. That's what IceCube got the grant money for. That's what it was there for. That's what the station is there for. And that's what Eric thought too. But the strange thing about this facility is it has, we believe, numerous thorium reactors to provide power for it. way more power than you need to run a station as an observatory. Those reactors are used to supply power to the ice cube so that it can not just receive, but broadcast. And it's able to use neutrinos as a kind of infrared, I'm just using this as an example, infrared camera, so that we can view things moving in space. But it has a lot more applications than that. You can actually, because it's 3D, change the charge on it and actually direct where you want this energy to go. From the Antarctic, you can reach almost anywhere from the equator south.
Because you're bouncing these energetic waves off the atmosphere.
Correct.
And what a different source told me is that while Eric and his team were there literally on top of that cube at that station,
right?
There's like 6 of them. The derp state activated the cube as a weapon. And it's since compromised. Yeah, well, they activated it to the point where one of their 6 is now dead, and then 2 of them have suffered and are still suffering ill health effects. And so that's no joke. And it also shows you how little the derp state cares about people. I mean, you know, you got your own scientists and technicians on top of the thing, and they fire it up anyway. That shows you that they're utterly expendable.
Yeah, and that's what makes it different than all the other observatories around the world. And they just expanded it. I believe they got more grant money and they made it even bigger. So it's no longer 8 by 8. I think it's now 64 by 64, which makes it immensely powerful.
Now, you've been to CERN, have you not, Brooks?
Yes.
So there are allegations that CERN is being shut down.
Yes,
but
it is.
Here's what
temporarily, it's only temporary shutdown.
Yes, and they're going to be
it as well,
building it bigger and stronger. And so let me just make sure I have the right video. It's a video about CERN every time they shut CERN down.
Events that happen. Now, this could be pure coincidence, but the top researchers around this subject believe this is because while it's turned on, they are jumping us around to nearby parallel universes that have dodged or targeted certain events. And when it's turned off, they know that all the neighboring multiverses will be affected by the same events, so it would be a perfect time for them to upgrade. Each nearby alternate universe is almost identical, but there is small changes. When they have us merge, something called the Mandela effect happens. The Mandela effect is when everyone collectively remembers something that is wrong. Quick game of minds on Rainbet. A better term for this would be called memory dust. And here are a few popular examples. Everyone believes the Monopoly man had a monocle. Well, in this timeline, he never had one. Have the famous Star Wars line, Luke, I am your father, but he actually said, no, I am your father. You have Fruit of the Loom. Everyone believes that Fruit of the Loom had the cornucopia in the back. This timeline, there was never a cornucopia. Another one's Pikachu had a black mark in his tail. This timeline, it was pure yellow. And there are many more. We could be here all day. Let's take one step back. The term Mandela effect was created in 2009. That was the exact same time CERN turned on their Hadron Collider and had it successfully running for the first time. So that's a weird coincidence. Now here's how it works. They are sending particles through a 17-mile tube that lies 300 feet below the ground with their biggest facility in Switzerland, and making them collide into each other faster than the speed of light, attempting to recreate the Big Bang, open portals, and merge into other alternate universes, which is why they call it the God particle. When they do this, they also collect imaging data. There have been a couple pictures that have been leaked showing entities from other dimensions. If you look at CERN's logo, it has 666 rotated. On June 1st, 2016, during the Gotthard Tunnel opening ceremony, which was the deepest tunnel in the world in Switzerland, you'll see CERN workers performing a satanic ritual opening a portal for Lucifer. Then just 23 days later, June 24th, 2016, CERN begins Project Awake and opens an actual portal over Geneva, Switzerland. Just a little more than a month later, a video got leaked where they were performing a mock ritual sacrifice in front of their Lord Shiva statue, which represents destruction. CERN claimed it was just employees messing around. Before CERN, you had Project Looking Glass. which was a temporal viewing device that could look into the past and future, which was located at Area S4 below Papoose Lake on Alice's 4th floor. It had rotating electromagnetic rings that spewed out argon gas and created images of past and future events. And that technology stemmed from the Orion Cube, which was an information display device that was reportedly given to President Eisenhower by the P-52 Orions in 1954. That technology was a trade-off to let the Orions abduct us in specific locations like national forests.
Okay, you said a lot there. So who wants to start?
We don't have enough time to take all that apart. The bottom line is that they have been using energy to look into the past and look into the future. But as I said, they got greedy and they began taking actions to profit themselves. And that altered the timelines. And now the timelines are so messed up, they can't make any predictions at all. As far as the portals being opened at CERN, I didn't witness any of that. I was there. It was running at 14 tera electron volts the entire day I was there. I was fascinated with the technological leaps that they made in order to accomplish that beam. That beam doesn't happen faster than the speed of light. It happens just short of the speed of light, about 99.9% the speed of light. The collisions are very violent and destroy the photo detectors. I sat in a room with a bunch of destroyed ones that had been blown apart by these collisions. And they're still collecting data and they're still categorizing that data. The interesting thing is the question that I posed to the team when I was there was, you've got all these frequencies you've been cataloging for years. You now know all the components that make up a proton. Have you ever tried generating those frequencies and making a proton from them? And they said, no. I said, well, you're wasting your time then. You need to figure out how to change energy back into matter.
Wow.
So I have a comment as well, and that is that the Mandela effect. And I did see online now that all of those, things that we remember a certain way, and you look back and it wasn't that way. Well, suddenly all of those are back online the way that we remember them.
That's
and
correct.
So was
Okay, that's
this
weird.
a huge
Well,
psyop?
not all of them. Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Because apparently my favorite two. One is it used to be the lion in the Bible. I forget if it's Isaiah, and the lion shall lay down with the lamb.
That's right.
Yes.
And it got changed to, and the wolf shall lay down with the lamb. And then if you go into your hard print Bibles that you've had forever on your shelf, you'll see in print it got changed too, not just online. Oh, they changed it to psyop us. Okay, it's in print. It got changed. So unless they snuck in everybody's houses all over the world to change the line, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then a relatively new one for me, at least in terms of Mandela effects, is that from Willy Wonka's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, right? Instead of Willie or Charlie, sorry, getting chocolate bars to finally get the golden ticket. At least one of them, it's a moon pie.
What?
And people are like, wait a second. The freaking moon pie. He's like it's Charlie instead of a chocolate bar. He's like holding a moon pie. It's like a chocolate.
Well, I remember the Berenstain Bears.
Yep, Berenstain.
Okay, but it's been changed to Berenstain, Stain. Well, guess what? I have one of the original VHS tapes, and it says Berenstain on it.
Now try this.
Stein.
Here's an interesting experiment, Brooks. I saw videos on where they'll have the video, and if they look at it just plain, it looks one way, and then you have another camera looking at it, and it'll go back to Stain. It'll switch back between Stain and Stein. There's a person where they've got a video of like they walk in a room, like outside of the room, it's Berenstain. They walk into the room, and it changes to Berenstain.
I did see that too. How about Sinbad? How about the movie Sinbad?
Right.
The guy claims he was never in that movie, and yet the video is out there of him in the movie.
Yes, or is it Fruit Loops, FROOT? I don't remember that. I always maybe my spelling's just that crappy.
No, it wasn't OO. It's fruit. FRUIT.
That's what it is right now. It says Fruit Loops, and I'm like, no, that's not right.
Well, this is one thing that Arkeem Ra has described. during or coming back from various time travel missions at the Camp Hero Air Force Base at Montauk Point. He says he has recall of coming back through the portal, Camp Hero Air Force Base, and he would have Preston Nichols, who was one of the terrible abusers and perpetrators there, would say, hey kid, take this money, go to the liquor store, corner store in Montauk, in town, and go get a newspaper. Okay. And what Arkeen said is basically if he went there and put money on the counter to get the newspaper, and the dude behind the counter, the proprietor, gave him a funny look, that means he had to go back and they had to redo the mission because they messed things up too much. Okay, so if they change the timeline to the point where the news changed too much or money wasn't accepted, that meant that they had to redo whatever they did.
Wow.
And then he says that he and others, some of them would collect coins from different timelines. And then so that might be where some of these weird artifacts have turned up every now and then, or time travel missions where people brought something back from a different timeline and it got loose somehow.
That's creepy. I know that they had talked about a 57 Chevy. I was reporting on that the other day, and my first handler was a race car driver, and he built a 57 Chevy. And I was like, why did it take him 14 years to build it? It was really weird. It's actually, I can tell you where to Google it, but then I'd have to reveal his last name, so I'm not doing that.
Getting parts for a 57 Chevy probably isn't the easiest these days.
Well, he did that. He built 14 years, no way. But the weird thing about it, Brian, which I didn't notice because I was in that vehicle, was that and I didn't see it. I thought, well, maybe it took him 14 years because of the paint job on it. So the paint job on it looked normal when I was sitting in it. Looked like just really pretty sparkly black. But then later on, when I looked at it again in the pictures and I enlarged it, there's an alien on the vehicle. And the alien's arms extend from the front wheel well to the end of the wheel well, which is interesting because the first car that I was driving of his, that I ran into an individual, his car hooked up to their rear wheel well. It had these bumpers that extended out. So as I'm pulling out of the gas station, this T-Bird is turning and my car, the bumper hooks onto his rear wheel well and pulls the bumper off of the car. No. So then I have to call him and say, look, Jarrell, the bumper of this vehicle is sitting in Biscayne Boulevard. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. And so I gave him a card, which the card was from a talent agent. So I said, well, not all is lost. I actually hit a talent agent. Now I'm wondering if in time it actually happened to be the agent that I found out is my brother. And I was asked, I hit 3 T-Birds before that one. Okay, don't judge because I was just learning how to drive. But he said, Darrell said, do you see a T-Bird and you just run into it? Right? So this is your 3rd T-Bird, but I didn't hit any more cars or any more T-Birds after I hit that one. And then he came home and I was in the bathtub and he had the card. And I said, oh, is that the talent agent's card? And he said, yes. And he took it and tore it up into little bitty pieces, put it on the counter and lit it on fire. And I was like, well, I guess I won't be using that agent anytime soon. So I'm wondering, did I look for that particular agent? Was that why I hit 2 T-Birds? And that was the final T-Bird that I hit. And that actually was my biological brother in that vehicle that I didn't know for another 30 years. Questions? I have questions.
Who knows? All sorts of stuff can be orchestrated or unconscious or subliminal or timeline things or our own higher selves or spirits or guides can be intervening, or the other side can then intervene to undo that, kind of like an adjustment bureau type scenario.
Right? Yes, exactly. The Adjustment Bureau, I personally believe is real because I believe time travel is real. And I also, the very first time I saw Preston Nichols, I said, this guy is terrible. He's a very bad person. And it was brought forward to me that he might actually be the real 11. I'm like, no way in holy hellski is this guy's a perpetrator. So we sense things also from frequencies, I believe, that people emit. You can tell if somebody's good or if they're bad. And I can tell on a phone call if somebody is evil. My tell is I cry a lot. So
Well, I mean, he was one of the people basically being a negative adjustment bureau type person, sending time soldiers, often little children in altered states and clone bodies, through portals to then mess with their timeline. One that I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but Arkeem Ra, he says the one time that he remembers Colonel Michael Aquino being really happy with him and gleeful was when Colonel Aquino sent him through a portal to commit the Son of Sam murders, some of them.
Gosh.
And he was told to basically eliminate members of what was then at that time would have been an up and coming true believer church, called not Catholic, but they were called something like the Church of the Sacred Heart. They're based out of like Brooklyn or inner city somewhere in New York City in like the 70s. And if they hadn't been assassinated brutally, thanks to the orders of Colonel Aquino, sending out mind-altered slaves, they basically started this whole movement where they just began feeding like homeless people in the streets and sheltering them. And whenever asked, like, why are you doing this? They said, because this is what Christ would do. And that's it. They didn't get preachy. They didn't hand you a Bible. They didn't ask you for a donation. They said, this is what Christ would do. And people joined them. And it became such a big movement that they, in that timeline where they don't get assassinated out of existence, they apparently make it over to the Middle East, to Gaza, Palestine, and in the middle of this whole Israel conflict, but back in the 1970s. And they're like basically there on the ground getting aid to the people of Gaza. And, and they're doing it in the name of Christ. And that helps to like change world sentiment like in the 70s on this conflict that's plaguing us to this day. And so that's what time travel can get you. I mean, that's how much, they can shift the timelines much more in that. But imagine decades of these evil forces doing negative adjustment bureau stuff to really screw up our timelines, and that to then shift the main timeline, the consensus timeline that we're all on, towards a lower non-Christed version, kind of like a Mad Max Terminator Matrix scenario, whereas we all here want the Christed higher timeline.
yes.
And that's the division, the split on a quantum basis of the two Earths that Dolores Cannon and so many others speak of, the higher and the lower. And it's a choice that we all get to make, and there may be probably in-betweens, and depending on our own quantum state of superposition, we get to choose where we want to go. It's all up to our consciousness and
Yes.
our frequency of being.
We've covered a lot of subjects today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and thank everyone for being here. Thanks to Atlas and our audience for commenting live, and everyone else watching live. I think we were up to like 50 something there for a bit, and then we got 45 viewers right now. So thank you everybody.
Yep.
Hopefully join us here every morning on Agent X11, especially Thursday mornings.
Yes. Brooks Agnew, any final thoughts, and where can people find you?
No, I don't have any final thoughts, but I just want to add this, that, for a long time we thought we had a magnetic field around the Earth. The ancients believed we had a magnetic grid around the Earth. And the community kind of calls this the Christ consciousness grid. I think that's what they're trying to corrupt. But this is how humans have a symbiotic relationship with the earth. Just keep that in mind as you go through your day.
Excellent. And where can people find you, and how you've got some products on your on brooksagnew.com. Can you tell them about that?
Sure. You can get ivermectin, fenbendazole, mebendazole, and hydroxychloroquine for yourself without a prescription. I facilitate that process. Free shipping worldwide. And we have 4-day delivery, except on the ivermectin and the mebendazole. We're a little bit behind on that because of the 9-week shutdown from the Democrats, but we're catching up. So order with confidence.
And what about your books? You've got some fabulous books people need to know about.
There are 13 books in print, starting with the Arc of Millions of Years series, which is a 4-volume set, and then going on through 8 Amazon bestsellers. These are novels that are written based upon the facts that we learned in the Arc of Millions of Years series. A lot of them are end-time apocalypse books. There's a Deep State War series with Charm of Favor and Glance of Angels. You will find it fascinating.
Thank you so much, Brooks, for being ever present on all the shows, Awake Nation as well. Steven Sanchez, you've been a little quiet, but do you have any final thoughts for today? And then tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, a little final thoughts today. We are beings that have a profound impact in this world, and thoughts are things. Just remember that. And I would encourage people to do 2 things. One, learn more about yourselves and what you are and what is this thing called spirituality. And hey, you know what? The floor is wide open there. You have to follow that compass that's inside you. And I think it's, if anyone work that you would ever do in your life is trying to understand that, because really, when you think about it, you're just having an experience through this avatar, and how many people take it seriously to study what the heck is that interface all about. I think that's one of my number 1 things. And number 2, always be a curious person. Always, question things, try to open your avenue, try to think out of the box. That's so important, and to be very observant. And watch your predominant mental attitude, because you get what you think. It's simple as that. So if we only think about get the 100th monkey thing going on, and if everybody's thinking positive, you could ship this whole planet in a twinkling of an eye. So it's so critical to watch your predominant mental attitude. Just so important. And I guess where you can find me is on my email. It's golden tiger at gmail.com.
And do you have any speaking engagements coming up?
I've been invited and requested to contact Tesla Tech. I am going to go to Tesla Tech, but now they're asking me to speak there, and I think I'm actually going to go do it for my very first time. I was a guest speaker the first time I went, but now they actually want me to talk, and I have to really collect my thoughts because I got a lot of things going on right now. But yeah, I think I'm going to go for it and see if I can get an opportunity to speak. And highly recommend people, if you want to know some really fascinating stuff, go to Tesla Tech. It's really awe-inspiring, because it's not just
what is
about
the date this year? Do you know where it's going to be?
Shoot, that is not even on my mind yet, but it's in the middle of the month. I just can't. Just type in Tesla Tech Albuquerque. It's there. There's going to be a big emphasis on alternative energy. There's going to be some people that are actually showing some for real stuff. So it's going to be a real fun convention, and highly recommend it. You'll go away blown away, because everybody's a like-minded individual there, and you will see some stuff that will open your eyes for sure.
Thank you always, Stephen. Brooks, I saw Alex Bloom is going to be speaking somewhere that you're going to be speaking at. It's something on angels?
In Mount Shasta. Yeah, that's starting next week, next Thursday through the weekend. It is the Angelic Calling, and it is the spiritual event of the year. If you're anywhere near Central California, make your way out there next week, and you can see me and Sasha Stone and other Lily Nova and some of the greatest speakers in the world, all in one place at one time.
Can you get tickets for that?
Yep, you can get it. Go to my website, brooksagnew.com. The link is right there on the front.
Excellent. Brian Singh, tell us a little bit about what you're up to and where people can find you.
Yeah. Well, first for that Tesla Tech conference, August 12th to August 16th. It's only $99. So that's an amazing deal. For me, reach out to me directly on Facebook, Brian Sang and SolarBee. Add that as my nickname there in the search term. Feel free to message me directly. I'm now hanging out my shingle for consults and advocacy and organizing on a sliding scale basis. I just love working with people and having all sorts of cases come my way. Just reach out to me directly.
And so how are things going with the the full disclosure now network?
It's going. I'm still kind of on hiatus, but I do have plans in the works. In the meantime, I'm kind of trying to stay busy by getting the scoops on various things, like the stuff about River Phoenix that we've been reporting on.
That was awesome.
Yeah, the whole Q thing and the groups again, like Colonel Michael Aquino behind some of these, the PSYOP aspects, at least, where they're trying to hijack the Truth or Patriot disclosure movements. And so, yeah, I still kind of a tight lid on that, but that's where I'm working more on the individual basis and then with various people in our community and doing shows like this.
Thank you so much, Brian. I think you're an incredible individual, and I thank you for all that you're doing to bring full disclosure to our community. Joan Renee, where can people find you?
Well, first, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but stay true to yourself. And in this world, despite all of its treachery and trickery, it's still a beautiful place, and you have a right to be here. And I don't know who needs to hear that, but I'm getting that message that somebody does. So that's for you. And the other thing is you can find me here on Agent X11. You can find me on the Awake Nation. And you can also find me on Life with Joan, which will be next Tuesday at 9 o'clock Pacific Coast time, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And this is in the morning. And we are covering the medical cartel, and we're talking about the legal medical cartel and how they're extorting the people, the population. And so we're going to be covering that and some stories that are not, unfortunately, all too common. Mm-hmm. So, and then you can also find me on X, Joan Renee 27, and that's about it.
And Terry Bradley, before you say anything, the Spaceball thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were. Okay, I don't know what they were. Well, I know there were bombs, or if you don't know what we're talking about, you're gonna have to watch our news segment. So we talked about some Spaceballs, and then we actually played the thing from the Mel Brooks movie. I don't know what they were, Terry. But I have my suspicions that they actually, it's human stuff that were being sent there. I don't know why they call them Spaceballs. I just don't. But if you're curious about that, go back and watch our news segment of the Awake Nation. Terry, where can people find you? And final thoughts.
Yes. And before we say goodbye, I just want to share with you, in 1973, I was flying into JFK Airport in New York from overseas, and I was 8 months pregnant. We did get in a plane crash. Was held overnight in a hotel on the connecting flight. We ended up going out toward Montauk, Islip, Long Island. Lost almost 2 hours of time, but ended up at our destination at the time we were supposed to be there. So a very interesting experience. I've shared that with my son, so he knows he was part of a time warp. But anyways, you can find us all on X and Rumble, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcast, and Telegram. And all these special guests, you'll find that we can also be seen on Awake Nation and Agent X11. To view more podcasts like these, it would be great if you could donate to shepherdentertainment@gmail.com. That's shepherdentertainment@gmail.com. And for more information, go to the website at shepherd agent-entertainment.com. And please like, subscribe, and share.
Thank you, Terry. And we do a lot of work. I do all the promo for these shows. So I'm going to say, if you need any help with Breaking MK Ultra, contact me at 619-779-9771. And also, I need to build out my my website, which is Shepherd Entertainment, Shepherd-entertainment at gmail.com. And I do promo. So if you think you might need some promo, contact me. And then also join us for the Awake Nation. And we are live Monday through Friday on the David Zublik channel, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's Eastern time. And we're also live on the Agent X11 channel. And so from 7 to 8, we do the news. And it's weird news. If you don't think it's weird, just look up Spaceballs. Because we get some weird news that we try to disseminate. And
Really?
that's, and we also tell people, hey, research everything, because we really don't know what the truth is. Is it fact or is it fiction? Ripley's Believe It or Not. We don't know anymore. So we report the news, but we say it's incumbent upon you to continue to do further research to find out if it's true. There was a video or a picture, rather, of Mitch McConnell in the hospital, and it was presented to me as, this is not AI. And I looked it up, and it's AI. So don't believe your eyes on everything. And then on some things, you need to believe your eyes. So what should I believe? Well, my hero, my camp hero is Jesus Christ. So I take everything to God and to Jesus Christ, and I will find the truth there, because you're certainly not going to find it from the Mockingbird media. So I thank you for joining us for Agent X11. Please retweet this show to everybody that you know. And hopefully we'll get more followers, and that's the way we get the information out there and the truth. I hate to be quoting the X-Files, but the truth is out there. So it's incumbent upon you to actually seek it and find it. Thank you for joining us, and we are out of time, so we are out of here. Shepherd out.
Blessings, everyone. Solar be out.
Bradley out.
Brooks out.
Renee out.
Yeah, you all have a wonderful day. Stephen out.
Goodbye for now from Agent X11, Hollywood dark journalist, a shining light in this darkened world. Don't forget to watch the Awake Nation News 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern on the David Zublik channel on Rumble, followed by our main show, David Zublik's Awake Nation, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.